When I think about this energy that gets me going, I get inspired by a few different like energies. One is like a bull, because I'm a Taurus. And so I get super excited, but then I also tap into like Rafael Nadal, the way he gets excited and the way he fist pump and the way he puts that spin on the ball. Even like Rocky movies. I even like it when he lost because he still won. Even when I lose in sports, as long as I'm in it, I'm like fully in it, coherent and playing, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm still winning. That's kind of what I love about all these different narratives. It's like, that's the energy that keeps me going. That's the legacy you talk about, is like whatever I'm in, I want to be in.
Welcome everyone to the Eons Ahead podcast. I'm your host, Alex Wolfe. And on the show, we like to have deep, intimate conversations with amazing people that are eons ahead. But what does it mean to be eons ahead? Well, it means they're ahead of their time. They see things other people don't see, and they're able to communicate these visions to the world, manifest them into reality, making a positive impact for humanity. They're often doing things that other people are simply not doing. They're trailblazers, they're pioneers, they're conscious leaders. And our guest today is definitely one of those. His name is Neil Ryan Dumra. He's a good friend. I'm going to read you a little bit about him right here. Neil is a dynamic force, born and raised in Minneapolis with a rich Hindu upbringing, and now thrives in the vibrant community of Austin, Texas. As a personal chef, tantric coach, and evolutionary health advocate, Neil's journey of transformation is truly awe-inspiring. Guided by the wisdom of his culturally enriching grandparents, Neil has embraced a wide array of tools for holistic living, including gardening, Ayurveda, alchemy, meditation, and compassion. These practices have propelled him on a path of mastering mind, body, and soul connection. And he is deeply committed to sharing these transformational tools with others. An unwavering advocate for healing and wellness, Neil's passion permeates every aspect of his life. His guiding philosophy, "You are what you eat, think, breathe, and do," fuels his unwavering dedication to conscious living. From daily meditation and intense competitive sports to yoga practices, and his commitment to tantric alchemy and inner healing, Neil strives to inspire others to live authentically and stay grounded in the modern day hustle. Neil's impact extends far beyond his personal practices. As the visionary founder of the renowned Eye Cacao, he has sourced rare ceremonial cacao strains from around the world, bringing them to market through his meticulous cold, crumbled process. This unique approach preserves the cacao's vital properties, doubling stem cells and making sure cacao is shared in its whole form, resulting in a truly transformational experience. With every sip, Third Eye Cacao opens hearts, ignites inner alchemy, and propels individuals on a journey of self-discovery and expansion. He's definitely eons ahead. He's a good friend. He's here today. Neil Dumra.
Thank you. That was long.
Yeah, but it was good.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a great intro, Neil. You're a great guy. You're actually one of the first people that I met when I came to Austin. We met at another friend of ours retreat, Charles Clay and Brandolin.
Yeah.
And we were there for an intimacy retreat. And, we were both dating other women at the time. And but we met and I was like, man, this guy he's really grounded. He's really caring. And you're really present. And I really resonated with you. And honestly, you were one of the reasons that I chose to move to Austin. I was like, man, if this guy's what Austin is all about, then I look forward to, getting to know him better. So I'm really glad you're here.
Wow. Amazing. Thank you. I appreciate that. That was an amazing retreat. And,
it was.
Yeah, I really appreciated that time getting to know you. And yeah, we are no longer with those people. But at the same time, it was so much learning.
Much learning.
And that container was beautiful.
It was, yeah.
Thank you for that experience and that remembering. I love that.
Of course, yeah. No, it's my pleasure to. I was thinking about that on the way over here, and I was like, yeah, he was really my second friend in Austin. Charles being the first, and you being the second.
Totally.
And really appreciated everything about that weekend. How we dove in and learned and explored the depths of intimacy and had all these activities that we did. And
yeah, it was special.
It was special.
Yeah, we even took a little microdose.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
During Brandolin's sound healing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. She had the harp going and all kinds of cool stuff. And
Yeah. It went on for a while because I think she took some too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good times.
Good
Good
times.
times. Yeah.
Neil, one of the things that I learned about you then, and I continue to see it in you as our friendship evolves, is that you have a caring about other people and you want to help other people. And I see it when you speak and when you share in every aspect of your business. I'm curious, did you always have that drive to help other people? And if so, when did that start for you? Was it as a child, or when did
Yeah.
that start?
It's kind of interesting. I think like all humans, we all go through stages. And I've been through many stages of life. Part of the stages where I've been less vulnerable and more, and some stages more vulnerable.
Mm.
And it's in those vulnerable stages that I developed more compassion, and then go back into those places where you tap into those roots,
Mm.
and so it's in that same cycle of life. I was raised by my grandparents, which I talk about a lot because Third Eye Lounge is a representation of their apartment.
Yes.
And I say that because it's a very humble place. It's not super special other than the fact that it's welcoming to all.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, compassion is a funny thing. You have to have it for yourself in order to have it for others. And so that's part of the whole process. And I talk about coherence because in order for you to have compassion, you have to be connected. And it's a journey. So no, it's not something I've always been.
Mm-hmm.
And I think prior to being me 32, 33 years old, I was more of a martyr than I was a role model. And so I went through a transition where I did all the yoga for 10 years. I did all the stuff that was on eye level, on surface level, even on the physical level, looked perfect. But there was a lot of bypassing and there was a lot of work that needed to be done, a lot of inner engineering. So that's when I kind of went into Vipassanas and started to do some deeper dives and had to go away, had to go away from community, had to go away from even the things that I loved and created in order to figure out what's going on with, am I compassionate and how do I develop that? And I had to do that for myself first. Yeah.
Wow, I love that. I could relate to that in the sense of having to isolate myself for a while to really go within. I when we had met, I was living in Saskatchewan, and I never thought I would live in Saskatoon, but I lived there for a brief period. For about 6 months, I isolated myself and didn't really see anybody except for Chloe and her parents. But it was in that time where I really dove deep within and learned compassion and other things about myself that that I'd never really explored before, and it was a really vulnerable time. So I'm wondering for you, when you say you went away, where did you go, and what did you have to overcome about yourself?
Yeah. So I had to experience survival. So I was like, and then overcome it. So I went from living in a nice apartment to not having any kind of basic needs, just like taking those away and seeing what life was like. So I went to a Vipassana center. I gave my dog to my dad for a bit, and I went through this inner battle, and in that inner battle, I came up with all this angst that I was carrying. And I got to rewrite those stories and actually face a lot of it directly head on. And after I came out of that, it was like I had a new voice. So my throat actually opened up and my truth started to pour out and I became more forward and it was different. So I would say it wasn't that I had to go away. It's just I learned how to be with myself and it was just a process, I can do that now very well because it's just I've learned that capacity to become more emotionally intelligent and to hold space for all of me, even the parts of me that I'm not aware of.
Wow, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I'm wondering, Neil, how did this play a factor in your journey of entrepreneurship?
So my journey of entrepreneurship started at a very young age. My parents were entrepreneurs, and I worked for them as a child, not a child laborer, but literally always doing shipping and this. And my mom and dad, they still have a janitorial sanitation supply company in Minnesota, and so I was working with them for a long time. But then I also worked in hotels and restaurants. My degree's in hospitality and culinary, as well as nutrition. So
Mhm.
background, I love food and I love all of that. But then my parents were also a big passion of mine of wanting to nurture and create some survival and thrival energy towards. That's just kind
Mm.
of like what the Indian sun does.
Mm.
So I had a lot of that. So I worked for a lot of their companies initially. Janitorial supplies. I created a hair and skincare brand in India.
Wow.
I brought keratin to India almost 20 some years ago. My mom is still doing that,
What's
actually.
keratin?
Keratin is a treatment you put in your hair to protect it from some elements.
Mm.
And basically, if you have really curly hair and humidity, it puffs out, and this basically makes it silky smooth.
Ah, cool.
And it puts like a keratin protein,
Cool.
basically. Anyways, I was doing that in India somehow. But yeah, I've done a lot of different things. And I feel like a lot of it initially was just to see what is it that I'm even capable of doing.
Mm.
And it got me to understand my being and being able to just express itself in various ways. So I almost see like all the things I've done as my past lives coming together and just like forming the thing that I wanted. And then now I've created what I consider my chocolate factory. You know, like that's what third eye is to me. Is like I'm not Charlie, but I'm Neil, and I have my own version of alchemy that I get to create, and it's so exciting, you know. So it's like that's just kind of how it is. I don't know how to explain it other than that.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love that. No, you have your own place where you get to create your own magic and bring your genius to the world of Third Eye Cacao.
Yeah.
And amazing products, really cool branding. I love the evolution from when I first met you and to where it's come now. It's looking incredible.
Yeah. It's not just me. There's a whole team behind me that are actively doing all these things. Even we have Chef Margaret, who's amazing, who creates all these treats, and there's so much passion. I mean, she's literally part of the Daime Church, and you can feel the ayahuasca, even though there's no ayahuasca in our cacao. You can feel this spirit in it, and it's so alive.
Totally.
Yeah.
I totally feel the passion from you, and I feel the passion from people when I enter Third Eye Meditation Lounge or Cacao Lounge. What is it? Third Eye Cacao Lounge?
You know, it's currently at Third Eye Cacao.
Third Eye Cacao.
Third Eye Cacao.
Third Eye Cacao. I love it.
And then we have Third Eye Yoga,
Oh,
know,
cool.
which is our yoga piece. We have classes, over 120 classes a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot of classes.
Yeah. It's doing well.
Very cool. I feel the passion when I enter the building, and people care and they love it. And that's, I think, the secret is that people are genuinely loving what they're doing. They're loving bringing this out there, and they're loving the effects of this cacao. Like I learned it from you that it helps bring you into your heart, you know, and I have some cacao right now mixed with my Eons coffee, and
nice.
it's a great blend of, you know, mind and heart and
Totally.
body and soul. So it's really cool. So tell us a little bit more about the cacao, how it affects your heart, etc.
Yeah, totally. So our cacao is the pure cacao. It's the paste, and we cold crumble it into a powder. So it has all the stearic acid, the fat. It's almost 48% fat. And that fat is what lubricates the heart. And why is that so important? You know, as soon as we're born, our blood becomes less and less viscous. So cacao is like fuel, like the octane, the theobromine for your heart space.
Wow.
It literally helps activate that. You drink this every day for a month, it'll double your stem cells.
Wow.
So we're talking blood flow, and what better way to do it than from bringing it to your compassionate space? And not only that, it has tons of other things like the feel good, the anandamide. So ananda in the Hindu word, the Sanskrit, means bliss. And so the reason why you feel bliss, why people love chocolate and you feel this good feeling, is oxytocin. And oxytocin is considered, on a chemical level, this is what literally helps create more oxytocin on your body. But that's what's the counteractive to cortisol, so stress.
Yes.
Right? So the more oxytocin you have, the more vagal tone you have, which is what creates survival. And so when you live from a heart space, it's like, I consider it the blue zone effect. It just ripples, you know? So you're living from a more coherent space, more open, and then you're actually creating the fascia to become more softened. So like the more blood flow you have in your heart space, the less plaque build up, and everything becomes softer, more malleable, more like a child.
Wow. That's beautiful, man. That's fantastic. It's really sounds like it's shifting you. If it's the opposite of cortisol, it's shifting you from survival energy into thriving energy. Like this is
Yeah, it's a great way, especially people who are very much like in this place of. So I study this thing called access consciousness. I don't know if you've experienced this thing where it teaches you how to let go of the duality.
Mm.
So it's like the right, wrong, good, bad, right? And sometimes we get stuck in this where we're like, truth is this everlasting thing that is always evolving, right? But when we can settle without the truth, that's being in the heart space, right? That's
allowing.
like, yes, exactly. And so that's kind of what we want to do more often, because then we're not actually fighting with the cortisol. We're allowing the oxytocin to kind of allow the tension to be released.
Wow, beautiful. Makes sense. You're allowing, you're in your heart space. You're not trying to pinpoint the answer. You're realizing that whatever is will be. It's an accepting.
And then it's then activating kind of this receiver too, like the feminine, where it's like you get to be more still with it, and then you get to notice more often.
Wow.
You know?
That's super cool. That's something I've been playing around with. It's funny you mention that. The receiver is, I noticed, you know, we'll get into the mushroom aspect of this and adaptogens, but the mushrooms I've been experimenting with lately have definitely shifted me more as well into the receivership. And I realized how much of my life I've been spending broadcasting, like output. But when you're broadcasting mode, you're not in receivership mode, you know, and it's really one of the two. It's like a switch that gets flipped.
Or this is my theory.
Okay, tell me.
So that's why I call it third eye. So third eye is about kind of taking the receiver and the doer and combining them into the unity.
So unity consciousness.
Yes. So it's like when the pituitary and the pineal connect, you're no longer in question of when you're receiving or giving. You know, it's in flow with discernment.
Beautiful.
Right? It's got its own natural filtration system.
Wow.
Because the vibration and frequency is always a match.
Wow.
Right? So that's kind of, even with mushrooms, we wouldn't have this type of cacao without mushrooms.
Tell me more.
Because agriculturally grown cacao doesn't require that, but permaculturally grown cacao does. It's a communication in the rainforest. It's actually the whole mycelium network that allows the midges and the water and the sun and everything to orchestrate this beautiful symphony that allows everything to be nurtured.
Wow.
And it's in that network that allows that communication to actually happen. And it's such a subtle thing. So cool. These little bugs are pollinating the rainforest.
So cool. It's all going through this mycelial network, which is like the brain of Mother Nature.
Literally, it's like so much happening. Yeah. And if we could scan it, you'd be like, there's a huge communication happening right now.
Yeah. So cool. Yeah. I love how mushrooms played a factor in that, and they're connected to everything in nature, which is
our humanity.
Actually. Our humanity. Yeah. It's really the signal of, you know, I believe God, higher power, higher intelligence, whatever you want to call it, is communicating with us through nature. And it always has been, and it always will, as long as nature is thriving. And
so true. Ahead. It's so true. It's this is like the essence of something that was pre-human, right? So trees of cacao were there prior to the pods. The pods and the actual fruit and everything only came when humans appeared.
Wow.
And so it's like, it's such a beautiful thing. It's like the reason why they call it food of the gods is because it was like the kings were able to open up and have this new expression. They used to have it with the form of liquor. Wow. They'd ferment it and have it in that way.
Sure.
And it's actually funny because even now it's like the most sought after thing. Right now, currently, there's an 80% shortage of cacao in the world.
Wow. 80%?
Yeah. Because of
What's
the rain.
Going on?
There was a rainfall shortage in Africa where they agriculturally grow a lot of it. So
wow. So it's the short on supply. So the prices are going up. Demand is going up.
Yep.
Wow. How do you deal with that, Neil, as being in this business?
Yeah. So if you come to our shop, you'll notice we source from almost 14 different farms. And I think that's part of it. We're always purchasing as much as we can from our connections that we work with directly. And it allows the pricing to stay, you know, it's consistent for them, it's consistent for us, you know, so we're sometimes even prepaying and making sure that we get what we need and they get what they need. Very so cool. It's not an exploitation. And it's also not trying to maximize anything, the yield or anything like that. We're trying to make it so that it's in tune with nature. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's what keeps it sacred.
Absolutely. I feel that. There's a tone of truth when you're speaking about that. And you mentioned something a little while ago about discernment. And I'd like to dive into this if you're open to it. You know, discernment has been such a big thing for me lately. I found as I get more and more into my heart space, you know, moving up from the lower chakras of survival and you know, trying to do and be the doer and get things and you know, enforcing my will into just being into a heart space of allowing and being open and communicating with love and forgiveness. In that space, I find that it often gets tested by other people trying to, you know, come in or maybe take advantage of the open heart space. And that's where really discernment comes in, is like, okay, now that you're open and you're loving, now you have to discern, because maybe not everybody has the best intentions. And some people maybe just former versions of ourselves, you know, not having learned this stuff. So what's a lesson for you in discernment, and how do you practice discernment? I'm sure you've met so many kinds of people here in Austin.
Yeah. You know, it's like life lessons, right? And the lessons are like blessings. So some of them, you know, initially can be such life lessons, and sometimes they're blessings. And it's part of our own evolution to vaporize our victimhood throughout each process of whatever we're experiencing, because everything's a teacher. And let's say, you know, we're a spirited warrior, and every day is a new day with new hopes and new dreams.
Yes.
We're going out to win and to lose. And if we're not willing to do that, we're not actually playing the game of life. And it's part of that, you know? And so it's like
snakes and ladders.
It's like being able to be your own doctor, to be your own healer, to be your own teacher, and also learn lessons from mentors and have like a core team around you that can take a look at some of the things that are coming into your field that can make and break certain larger equations that help kind of create the game to always be in the infinite, right? So, you know, that's just it. We always play that infinite game, and we dance and laugh throughout it all, because we know all of it's a cosmic joke.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
And it's like the legacy we leave is based on the energy we carry.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's not anything else.
Yeah.
You know, and so you can provide a lot of cacao, you can provide a lot of mushroom, you can provide, but like, and it has to be done with the integrity baseline. That's baseline. But then from there, it's kind of like, how do we get to enjoy it too? You know, the reason why I will never put anything weird or anything in my products is because I have to enjoy it first. I'm that selfish, but selfless, and also I'm willing to give that to the world. It's a big deal. Yeah, you know, that's part of my legacy too. Yeah, you know, and all the other things. You know, I've been a people pleaser for a long time. Where when you start a community, you don't know what the hell you're doing. You know, like I started this thing and it was so open, probably gave millions of dollars of cacao away to Austin unknowingly, you know, but that was just because I was doing this thing and I wanted to create, I was so excited, you know. Whole Foods or none of the stores offer what this offers. That's why I was so excited. When I started working for the Rainforest Partnership and I started sourcing this cacao, I was like, holy shit. Yeah. This is gold, y'all.
Exactly.
And like my inner child was just wild, you know, just serving cacao everywhere. Yeah. Where Austin was almost like, oh, this guy's just giving away cacao, you know? And then I had to just dial it in.
Yeah, you know? Dial it in from there. I can totally relate. I'm super passionate about mushrooms, and I'm excited to get it out to people, knowing firsthand of how transformational it can be to people, and how healing, and how you could tap you into so many cool aspects of self and spirit and God and all these cool things. I know you can relate to that.
100%. I have experienced your mushrooms. They're great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. But there's something you said there that I want to touch on. Legacy, you know, let's fast forward, you know, and yeah, hopefully it's a long time from now.
Totally.
And your energy, you know, you've passed away. We're all going to pass away one day. And, and What's something that you want people to talk about in the legacy of Neil? What's something that you'd want them to say about
Yeah,
you, Neil?
totally. It's interesting because I'm writing a book and it's called Cacao Will Show You How.
I love it.
So it's like that's initial. Part of my legacy is about to be a teacher. Like, so I want to be a teacher, but I'm just a student and I'm always in this student mentality.
Yeah.
I think that's part of being a teacher.
Yeah.
And also leading from behind.
Yeah.
I kind of feel that's important as a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like my legacy, and I don't know what it could be.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm still building that, you know, and I don't even want to leave any kind of, I don't want to leave anything, you know, out. I could be a singer for all we know, you know. I want my passions to continue to live and not be limited in some ways. So like, I don't know what my legacy is.
Okay.
You know, I'm still building it.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
On that note of leading from behind,
yeah,
you know, for me, when you say that, it comes up is ironic. You say that as like the wolf, like they say the wolf in the wolf pack, actually the leader's in the back of the pack, you know, he's watching over everybody and this kind of stuff. The young ones are in the front, kind of trailblazing. And it's so cool how we can get these symbolic messages from the spirit of these animals. I'm wondering
100%.
when I bring up that story of the wolf spirit, is there another wolf or another animal spirit that you tap into or have a lesson about that you could talk about?
Yeah, totally. It's like there's all these things. When I think about this energy that gets me going, you know, it's like I get inspired by a few different like energies. One is like a bull because I'm a Taurus.
Yeah, likewise.
You know? Yeah. And so I get super excited, but then I also tap into like Rafael Nadal, you know, the way he gets excited and the way he fist pump and the way he puts that spin on the ball.
Yeah.
It's so exciting, you know. Even like Rocky movies, you know, like I even like it when he lost because he still won, you know, like when you
got the lesson.
Right. But not only that, he went all out, you know, and it's like, even when I lose in sports, as long as I'm in it, I'm like fully in it, coherent and playing, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm still winning because I'm in it.
You're present. You're in it.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I love about all these different narratives. It's like, that's the energy that keeps me going. That's the legacy you talk about is like, whatever I'm in, I want to be in.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I love that. Fully engaged and in the moment and present. And that's really what I think it's all about. That's really the secret of life, if you will, is just be in that presence, you know, that I am presence.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
totally.
You know, you mentioned sports, Nadal, tennis. You know, for the viewers that don't know, you're an incredible pickleball player. You know,
Thank you.
I've had the you're awesome, and you're actually the guy that put me on to pickleball when it first came to Austin, and pickleball has become such a joy in my life. It's such a joy. Good. You get it, and I believe it's because of that. Because when I'm playing, I'm really present. I enter flow state, and it's also a game of self-talk, you know, like I could really hear the voice in my head and how it's either helping me or hindering me. And it's been this whole thing. So I'm wondering, what are some other, you know, when I talk about pickleball, I know it's a big part of your life. How has it played a factor in your life and entrepreneurship and all this stuff?
Yeah, totally. It's interesting because I used to be better at pickleball than I am now.
Okay.
I'm not like in it.
Okay.
I utilize it now just because I'm in this space where I'm so busy and I'm creating so much, and it helps me allow my aggression and my energy and my warrior to come out. But there was a time where I was like so good and so focused and like perfectionist and all of it. And it was also when I was in a relationship that was kind of like different, almost like a familial situation where I was raising a child and all this other things, which created a different dynamic in me too. It's interesting. From all that, I'm now kind of reinventing how I play.
Interesting.
And I'm actually developing more of my feminine, which allows me to play with more grace and ease, which is a lot more fun. I was playing with a lot of aggression before,
right?
Where I had this protective energy that wasn't actually mine.
Whose was it?
It was in the container.
I see.
So when you bond with people, you connect with all sorts of parts, you know, and it was an interesting dynamic. It wasn't actually a bad thing, but it was a cool expression where I got to tune into something and attune to even probably parts of my ancestry.
Wow.
You know, I took ayahuasca after that and realized I was hurting myself in some ways.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyways, so pickleball, what it does on some level is when I'm playing, even when I'm not playing well, it allows me to attune, So it's like, I think about the hemispheres in the brain
Mhm.
and how we can actually use our hands to connect with that. And then there's this thing where we let go of the control and we get into flow state.
Mhm.
And that's when we hit the forehands and backhands and we actually open up our heart a little bit and we aim, but we don't actually aim. It's actually, that's flow. And people don't realize that it's just this thing that happens when we're just letting go. And it's a really beautiful feeling that you get to continuously exercise. And, I think it's beautiful.
It really
Yeah.
is. It's beautiful. And there's so many layers to it. It's like people think it's such a simple game, which I guess it can be. But as you get into it, there's so many layers, so much strategy, and so much balance between the mental, the physical, and now I'm even hearing even a spiritual aspect.
There's a
of it.
quantum part.
Yeah.
I call it the quantum, where if you're so dialed in, you can slow the ball down. And so when I used to play table tennis at like a very high level, I used to be able to slow the ball down, where you can all of a sudden get into it and put all these nuances to the ball.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing is like art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is. I love it, Neil. I look forward to playing more pickleball with you. It's such a pleasure.
Yeah.
And it's been such a gift in my life. So another thing, thank you for introducing me to pickleball. It's been truly such a blessing.
Yeah. I love to do that. I think it's a great thing.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You mentioned a couple things in there, Neil, ayahuasca. We've talked about mushrooms. I'm curious, how has psychedelics played a factor in your life? I know that's a big topic.
Yeah.
But how do you see how's it played a factor in your life? And how do you think they can play a factor in this mental health paradigm that's going on?
Yeah. So I'm lucky to know people in the community, just having a lounge that's spiritual in some ways.
Right.
Various communities, lots of ayahuasca, ketamine, cacao, various different types of organizations and tribes and people from around the world who've come, across my paths, and I got to experience even the Red Road, which is like the Indian path.
Cool.
And I've done some of that as well. And what I realized is, anything that kind of helps you get back into your center and is a ritual that is life-giving, it can be really good to kind of get you, from a place where you may have been in a traumatic state or a victim state, or maybe an attitude shift, or have some type of loss, where you need to grieve and process. So, if you need to get ahead of your healing in a way that you have the time and space and ability to integrate from, plant medicine can be very beneficial. And I think, depending on the container, I think it'd be really good.
Cool.
But that being said, all of that has a shadow side to it.
Totally.
I haven't seen any specific place where it's like all light or all shadow, but there's almost like cleansing that happens within all of these places that are creating these kind of things. Even within Third Eye, there's been so much cleansing. I'll just say that with so much love, even within myself as a human. You have these vibrations, and I call it like spiral dynamics, where in some life, the tree may only grow this tall, but given the right parameters, a tree can grow as big as it needs to in order for it to spread its wings and to create so much more life for others. Same thing goes with these type of things. These medicines has its limitations, and if you don't practice the other parts, or if the leadership and communities around it are not constantly being moved, and there's all sorts of parts of it,
For sure.
But plant medicine is a real spiritual experience, and integration, I think, is double the importance to all of it. Even dieta and making sure that your body is ready to go through these type of portals and experiencing some of these purges. Half of it can be done without the medicine. And I truly believe in that.
Yeah.
So that's why I've created a place like Third Eye, where it's mostly integration.
Yeah.
We do have some, heart opening plant medicines. I even offer some, wachuma ceremonies and mushroom ceremonies. And we do all sorts of fun stuff like that but mostly integration.
Yeah.
Because our body is is the medicine.
Yeah.
It is the tool.
Yeah.
It's the master tool.
It's the master tool.
And so the more and more we can become like masters of our tool, it's like getting to know yourself. Some people think that they're all like driving themselves as Honda Civics. But once you find out that you're a Ferrari or whatever you want to be, then you start to attune to that. And then you can start creating from that way.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
Beautifully said. I actually could not agree more. The human body is just such a wonder of technology. Like it's just has all the codes within it, and it's up to us to unlock these codes. And I believe plant medicine, psychedelics, especially ones that are connected to nature, are the tools to unlock these other tools. And really it comes down to integration, because you could go and get all these codes and wisdoms and insights and epiphanies, but if you're not able to integrate them into your body in the 3D, you'll really end up just missing the point of it all and could get lost on a whole other path.
Yeah. It's like going on a vacation, with not having your belongings, right? So you keep going and you're lost, right? You keep going, calling the airport, you're not in flow with that. And so the medicine's got to be medicine. Otherwise it's a drug.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, find things that activate you, that are life-giving, that give you passion, that's part of the nature.
Yeah.
So
that give you passion. I'll add on to that and also ideally for the greatest good of all, that helps everybody would be fantastic.
Yeah, that's true.
You mentioned human beings, our bodies being the master, and self-mastery is something I could hear when you're speaking about it, Neil, something that you're on that path, even though I'm with you. We're both forever students in this game of life. I wonder, you've met so many people at Third Eye and traveling and around the world and stuff like that. But let's say you could study from one master, historical, dead or alive, and you could learn all their codes. Which master would that be for you, and why?
Which master would that be? That's a tough one. Yeah.
Do you want to hear mine while you're thinking about it?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a few because
Okay.
I've obviously thought about this question.
Yeah.
The first one, which almost, it might be too good of an answer, but it is Jesus Christ, Yeshua. Obviously, if I could learn all the codes from him, that would be number one. But if you remove that from the equation, because it's kind of takes the cake, I would probably choose Alan Watts for, the mental aspect of it, just his perspective on life and his articulation. And I just love his mind. And I would just love to absorb all his wisdoms like a sponge. And then the other one would probably be Bruce Lee, just for his mastery on the human body.
Bruce Lee would be one of my top. I probably want to learn something from Novak Djokovic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For
just
sure.
like how he trains.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
For sure.
I'd also want to learn probably some things from the guy, Dr. Shade, who creates the liposomals.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. I'd like to learn how he does his chemistry.
Yeah.
He seems pretty intelligent. What else? There's some authors. Oh, I liked Jeff Brown.
Who's that?
He's actually somebody I just got some coaching from.
Cool.
He's an author.
Cool.
And he teaches about emotional intelligence. Yeah.
Key stuff to know.
Yeah. And about the soul.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Bruce Lee is good. Just the 1-inch punch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All those are good choices, Neil.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
I want to talk about one more thought.
Please.
So I learned this thing last year, and it was about the vagus nerve and about quantum healing.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the reasons why I chose cacao and why it actually kind of combines the vagus nerve and the third eye and all this stuff is because it allows you to kind of get out of the headspace for a moment. And that's the only time and space when we get into the quantum realm where our body is kind of allowing itself to get into a healing space. So the mind cannot navigate or control.
Yeah.
And so I've actually had some healing experiences where my whole body lifted up. My head was the only thing on the table.
Wow.
and energy was able to move through me.
Wow.
And that's like that quantum, where just like we're moving stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. I believe there's so much.
I think it's a good thing, and coffee's good too. Like,
Yeah.
but there's a time and space to not.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate cacao for that reason.
For sure.
Yeah.
The more that I dive into your cacao, Neil, the more I see the benefits and the wisdom, and it's all really bringing it back to the heart, which I'm all about.
Yeah. I was like, you're talking about, okay, so you're talking about like what it is, end goal or legacy. Like, this is it, right? The heart.
This is it.
It's so easy.
Yeah. It's so easy. It really is. It's really the whole life journey is to really just bring it from the head to the heart.
Yeah,
It's like,
totally
bring it there. Cause this is the communicator to the divine is the heart, right?
Yeah.
The head is the separator. It's like, it thinks it could do it better than others and better than this whole game.
Totally.
But it's like, you bring it down to the heart. Now we're connected, brings into that unity consciousness you talked about. And for me, that is the whole game of life, is to keep it here.
Yeah, totally.
And have discernment at the same time.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not all love and light out there. There's darkness and shadow and all this stuff.
It's important too.
Yeah.
That's part of the balance. And that's how we alchemize. It's almost the fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's dive into that, alchemize. You mentioned that earlier. It's in your intro as well, something that you're clearly into. You do it at Third Eye. There's alchemy going on. Tell us how alchemy's played a part of your life.
Yeah. So alchemy is, it's kind of like, have you heard of existential kink?
No.
So it's like most people, when they feel something, they emote based on sometimes what they think they should feel. Okay.
Wow.
So instead of doing that, we do something else where we have a kink. We allow it to just kind of just let it all kind of hang out.
Yeah.
And from that, we work around it in a different way. We allow the inflammation to happen and then we heal it.
Wow.
That's how we alchemize.
Wow.
Right. So that's kind of the process where most people want to hide. They want to cover. We just kind of let it all hang out.
Yeah.
And let the whole community hold you.
Wow.
That's alchemy. Right. And that's kind of how shadows come into from being shadows to come into light.
Come into the light.
Yeah.
Wow, dude.
There's so many ways you can do it, but that's just one.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool. There's got to be a level of vulnerability to that. That's super powerful because you're allowing the community to see your authentic self. And if you don't do that, then how can they really hold you?
Well, that's the thing. So in the community, we have so much of this constellation work that's happening where we start to realize that the same programs that are in your genetic line is probably in mine. And the ancestors that are behind you are probably talking to the ancestors behind me, and that's just always happening. That's just the process.
Wow.
And so when you come into that framework, it becomes a lot more easier to do the work. So every step of the way, alchemy becomes less and less vulnerable, and vulnerability becomes a superpower.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. One of my old mentors used to tell me that as well. He's like, vulnerability is your biggest superpower. And it's something that I keep diving into more and more because it's really, the more that we can lean into that, the more that we realize that, like you said, we're all on the same playing field here, and everybody's got the same stuff. It's not really that unique.
Yeah. And the nuances is the art. That's the art we're always creating. That's the parts of us that the ego, when I say ego, I say EGO, everything gets organized and then the spirit kind of makes it beautiful. And that's just it. It's always doing that.
That's so cool.
That's the wave of the ocean.
That's a wonderful code, Neil.
Yeah.
And when I say code, I've referred to this a bunch on this podcast. For me, it's like a gem of wisdom that comes in, and then you have a new perception, and with a new perception, you have a new mind and a new outlook. And now all of a sudden you're going in another direction. I'm wondering for you, was there a code that once you learned this code that it changed your direction in life that you could share with the audience?
Yeah. It was a felt experience.
Okay.
It wasn't a code as such. It was more so my body got to feel a deep level of relaxation that I probably never felt in my entire life.
Wow.
And when I started to actually realize a new level of self-care, then all the priorities started to change.
Wow.
And when I started to see that more clearly, it was a quantum shift.
Wow.
It was discernment became a filter that I couldn't take off.
Right. It was integrated.
It was integrated.
So cool.
Yeah. So yeah, it took time. And it takes a level of resilience to be able to even have that opportunity. And I think that everyone can have that, but it takes work and play, but work.
Yeah. And making the work as fun as possible, I would guess.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Cool. Shifting gears here, we talked about liposomals. You brought it up. It's in our technology at Eons as well.
Yeah,
it's all about bioavailability.
Totally.
I'm sure you know, right?
Yeah.
You know a lot about supplements and how a lot of supplements out there probably aren't bioavailable, right? So I know you've got some patents that you've got. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear more about those and share that with the audience and what's next for Third Eye Cacao.
Yeah. I mean, we at our elixir bar, we make it with the homogenizer. So we do somewhat liposome it. But at the same time, not everyone can do that. And what you've done with your products are amazing. Unfortunately, we can't do that with cacao yet. And if you do it, you have to add some things to it. Yeah. And I don't know. My products don't have other ingredients currently. It's always just the pure stuff.
Yes, which I love.
And yeah, it's one of those things where, like Shervin did a really good job with it, with Symbiotica.
Yes.
And, it's certain things, they have to have a need for it for me to make it want to make it liposomal. I don't think cacao is needed for that.
Sure.
Essentially the way I see it.
Yeah.
So,
but what about the patents?
So taking cacao, making it a powder without removing the fat is what I created. That's the process. Did it in a way that doesn't do anything harmful, doesn't add anything, remove anything, and it's amazing. So it's super convenient, and then it has all the adaptogens as well in it. So you can just add hot water, use a frother, and have it on the go.
Very cool, man. Congratulations, Neil. It's so cool. I love the new packaging, love the new branding. I love where this company's going.
Thank you.
What else are you excited about? What else is alive in you that you want to talk about?
So we've got an amazing affiliate program that we're launching, and we already launched it. We've got 2 products that we're kind of focusing on. One is a pre-yoga drink, pre-meditation, pre-breathwork, pre-doing your spiritual work drink.
Wow.
And then just a morning alternative. So the two drinks we're launching on our website within the next month.
Very cool.
And then we're offering 2 creamers. One will be a vegan, one will be a non-vegan. One will have colostrum, one will be coconut milk based.
Oh, brilliant.
And yeah, colostrum's been huge. I never thought that I would be a colostrum consumer, but I love it. And it's made me feel, it's actually helped heal my empathic body. So it's like my stomach, I just feel more nurtured more often. It's great stuff.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Colostrum's really trending. It's one of the first things that we end up ingesting as human beings, I guess, right? From our mother's breast milk, there's colostrum in there. And I know it helps with...
I still source breast milk. No, I'm just kidding.
That would be pretty cool. And it's in our gut health product as well. I'm super stoked.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's in our new gut health product.
Oh, amazing.
It's a stacked formula, but I'm really excited to try these new creamers. That sounds incredible. Neil, congratulations.
Thank you.
On all your success and,
you too, man.
And who you are as a human being. It's such a gift. You're such a blessing in my life and the community here. So thank you so much. For people that want to connect with you and learn more about cacao and yourself and your story and all the new cool stuff you got coming out, where can they touch base with you?
thirdeyecacao.com, thirdeyemeditationlounge.com, even neilryandumra.com, my own personal website. I'm also coming up with the new chocolate bar. It's going to be kind of interesting. So,
awesome. Yeah. We look forward to that.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome, Neil. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.